You are listening to Aim Higher, a Catholic podcast designed to instruct and to encourage the daily practice of our faith.
Pax et bonum, peace and good to you all. Welcome to another episode of the Aim Higher podcast. I'm Sister Catherine, and with me is...
And I am Father Anthony.
None other than Father Anthony, yes.
Yep.
So, on our episode...
One of a kind, and that's a good thing.
Indeed. I thank God for that every day.
Thank you. So do I.
How do I follow with that?
I fear the world would implode upon itself if there was another one of me.
Well, often the thought is we have if I just had another one like myself, another me would be great. I already know I would not get along with another me.
Oh.
So.
No, I hate myself. No, I don't hate myself, but it just kind of takes me back to as Bishop Lewis talked about when I was in the novitiate, how some religious orders seem to think that you have to follow like a cookie cutout mentality, and you basically just have to be exactly like everyone is. But in the Franciscan order, and I don't think every other religious order is exactly like that, but there might be certain superiors and members that have that kind of mentality. But in the Franciscan order, you're encouraged to have your individuality and your own personality, but it has to be, directed properly.
Right.
You want to be as genuine as possible. It's an interesting thing to say, as genuine as possible. You should always be genuine, but got to temper yourself. You've still got to practice the proper restraint, and you can learn from other people. You have your personality and stuff. Doesn't mean that it can't evolve and improve, because it's supposed to. If you're drawing yourself closer to God, you will see changes in your personality. You will see things that you will want to improve upon, make better. And This is not even what this episode is about.
But this is where we went.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's just, we went there.
Interesting thought. Well, as you brought up, you don't want everybody to be the same. I mean, you're still following the same schedule. There's certain expectations. Just because we encourage the individuality doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. I mean,
well, exactly. Yeah.
But
it's following the mode, like in the regular life. You're following the schedule. And you want to maintain a proper reverence and a proper decorum. But when you have those opportunities where you can express yourself in conversation as dealing with either the other brothers or lay people, again, proper decorum, but you can kind of open up your personality. And it's just like anybody else. It's like whoever you're with, people you're more comfortable with. But we're all a little different, but we can all learn from each other. One of the things,
some of us are a lot different, but that's not
one of the things I've always impressed me, dealing with Bishop Giles and Bishop Madrigal, is how quickly they can turn the switch. They can be humorous and joking with you in one moment, and then the next moment serious, very serious. And I think it's a very important quality, because yes, we can have a conversation, it's fairly lighthearted, but if the direction if the direction is pointed to something more serious, that you have to regroup yourself in that moment. And it's also, you're not allowing yourself to get emotionally carried away, because even emotionally, we can follow what appears to be just a really good spiritual high, because everything looks like it's going really well. Problem is, when you let yourself get built up to that, when reality sets in and you have more not the difficulty necessarily in saying prayer, but just the day to day. You have to remember you need something more stable, something more even keel. That's why virtue is in the middle. Okay,
Yes. Well,
I'm done.
I'm just going to add to that, though, Father. I also see that you are very capable of that, where you can have a very upbeat conversation. Maybe you make some jokes, but when you have to handle a serious matter, you can see that you really do have the knowledge. Like, your studying really paid off. Like, I can see that in you, because I was actually telling someone yesterday, that someone that listens to our podcast, that you are very much the personality that comes out on the podcast, but you also like,
Is that a? I think that's a
compliment.
I take it as a compliment. This is.
I'm being sincere.
You cannot fake this.
Why
would you want to?
But when it comes to like some of the serious things that as part as your vocation comes about, you can handle it very well.
Well, again, going back to Bishop Lewis, I used it in sermons, and I think I've used it here on the podcast. And it's this saying that I think if it was an epitaph on my tombstone, it's going to say, "From the silly to the sublime."
Yes.
Yes. And you have to do it's. I think it was St. Francis de Sales. I was reading about him, and it could have been any doctor of the church, any spiritual writer, but basically, any conversation you have with people, it should always, in some way, lean towards something with a spiritual benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation needs to have something to it. I can talk to somebody about almost anything, but you want to direct it to something spiritual, even if it's just the most obvious of things.
Well, I mean, you can talk to little children about, Ninja Turtles or, whatever popular toy.
Yeah.
Like, you can carry on a conversation, but I've seen you also, engage with those children, but also then turn it back to God, because it's actually not hard to do. God created everything. And, but I think it's helpful to have like that way to connect on their level.
Thank you, sister.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yep. You're done for the year, just so you know. Nah, probably not.
We're almost to the end of the year, so that's fine. And
maybe this is the compliment of the month. Maybe we'll see.
The compliment of the month. Yeah.
November.
Apparently, lenses don't give compliments, so
not directly. You might say something positive about someone to someone else, but
and then you deny it when it's brought up. Oh, did I say that? It's like, I have no recollection of the event in question.
That sounds a little suspicious.
I don't know. Are you sure? Was I heavily medicated? Did I just come out of the dentist chair after a root canal? Anyway, we get I'm sorry, direct you back to the main to what we're actually going to be talking about.
So what we're going to talk about today is the event in Mexico. I think that's the best way to put it. Father had gone down to Mexico with a few people from Wisconsin. Well, I guess two.
That constitutes a few.
I think that's a couple, but then I guess if you're involved, then it is.
No, you're right. You're right. No, because you separated me.
Mm-hmm.
So a few of us, I could say a few of us went down.
Right.
But then if you say Father Anthony went with a few, you went with a couple people.
Right. So.
Yeah, two individuals, two brothers, Brother Paul and Brother Thomas.
And the reason for this trip was for the consecration of the Chapel of Christ the King down in Mexico. So
I'll call it cathedral.
Cathedral?
I call it a cathedral because it is the.
It's stunning. It's stunning, and I will add that, and I'll include this into like the description for the podcast. But Bishop Madrigal has a website which has pictures from the occasion. So and we also are covering bits and parts of this adventure, if you will, in the upcoming upcoming issue of the Seraph. It's been a morning.
It's been a morning.
So all those things will be available to our listeners to be able to put into to be able to see what Father is going to share with us, because I did not go on this trip for a variety of reasons. One, I didn't have a passport, though when we found out about it, I could have gotten one. But more importantly, at the time, we had a candidate for postulancy, and you very well can't leave someone in that position alone. So
yeah.
But I will add one final thing to that, and then I'll let you just take over. Is that even as actually did say there were moments he wished I had been there. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Well, it just prompts for another trip down to Mexico with Sister Catherine, and I would be very, very willing to go with you.
Be my chaperone, or my chaperoning you.
To give the bishop both, to give the bishop a break. But
Yes.
but anyway, but it was.
So where to begin, Father? Tell us about your trip.
Well, it was a few. Kind of for me though, the trip to Mexico, to just north of Guadalajara, and please forgive me, my fellow Mexican Catholics, I cannot remember the name of the town. That's it. I mean, I could look it up as I'm talking, but I'll have to wait till I get a little bit of a break there. But anyway, if I see it, I'll know it. It starts with a T, but we'll get there. We'll get
then I
there.
definitely can't help you.
Yeah. But actually, it was the summer of 2022. I expressed to Bishop Giles when I was meeting with him, where the time was the children's retreat, and we discussed many things. And I said I would like to, if it was all right with him, visit Bishop Madrigal down in Mexico. I've never been there, and I've never met Father Martin or the people. I think it would be beneficial for me to go. And he agreed. And well, some things got in the way for that happening. I was even thinking of maybe happening January of this year, going down, or I even toyed with the idea of going down in December to be there for the Feast Our Lady of Guadalupe, but that's really kind of cutting it close. But other things happened, work, God's will, that was taken care of. So I had in my mind, we still want to get down to Mexico. I was going to take Brother Paul, Mr. Kurt Bazan, third order member, with me, who speaks very good Spanish. I'm not going to say fluently. I'm not going to put that pressure on him, but he speaks very good Spanish. And even the Mexicans down there told me his is very good. And he was going to be my translator. Then I got the call. Oh, when was that, sister? We knew about, it was like in March.
Maybe not quite that early.
No, April or May. I think it was actually May.
It was early spring-ish. I mean, the only reason why I know that is because I could have probably had plenty of time to get a passport if we expedited. Like, not that I was really considering, but just the knowledge. So there was ample time.
Well, I think it was about that time because I think we sold the property up north by then, by the time you called me.
Well, then that's June.
Well, no. Well, the deal was made. The deal was in the works. It wasn't finalized. Okay. I think so, but it was in the spring.
There you go.
So I was invited to go down. Bishop Giles invited to go down as well to be present at the ceremony, because what this was to be, and it was just not a visit. As we said, the dedication and consecration of the Church Christor. And I say cathedral because the cathedral is the principal church of the bishop in any diocese. And this would most certainly be the principal church. And if you see some of the pictures that Bishop Madrigal has put up on his website,
they're breathtaking.
rexegosum.com.
rexsumego.com, and I will put that in the notes.
Perfect. rexsumego.com. I am king. That's what it means in English. It's Latin. And well, I was just thrilled to go down. So I as soon as I got the call from Bishop Giles, or from his secretary, then then I got a hold of Brother Paul, and I said, we're going to Mexico for this date. And I went to Brother Thomas, aka our dad, and I said, we're going down to Mexico. Get your passport. He's like, okay. And then I had to endure about a 10-15 minute explanation of how he used to do passports when he worked at the post office and how he loved the fact, he enjoyed that he just, on Saturdays when he worked the window, he only did passports. He's like, guys, I'll do it. I'll do the passports and let everyone else take care of all the other stuff. So, and we had that conversation probably at least 3 other times, because I had to renew my passport. He had to get a passport. Brother Paul had to renew his passport. So he had to make sure we get everything together. And you wanted to get your passports before you got a plane ticket. So we got the plane ticket. Everything's good. Now, in this time, so it's been about 6 months, right?
Yeah, a little under, but
a little under 6 months. So I've been spending this time preparing myself for the ceremonies, going over what a deacon is supposed to do. As I was doing to, assist at the altar for the Solemn High Mass, but also assist for the ceremony of the dedication, which beautiful ceremony, which I'm going to get more into that. Like, this is really going to be like a 3-parter. This is not really like one episode. We might call it like episode, whatever episode we're on for. I don't know, season 3.
No, it's what's funny is I was thinking about this today. We said, oh, we're in a new season, and then we take like a 3-week break. So we didn't plan that very well. But
so is this season? Is this episode
season,
1?
No, it'll be 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, 4, 5,
yeah.
or it's like 2.1, 2.2. But anyway, but I would talk more about the ceremonies, what's involved, go more in depth on that, because that's very beneficial for us to know how these things work. Now, what I want to go more into is just really the impression of being down there and with the people and all the different people I met, and answering a question that looks like it appeared on Sister's face.
Well, I was just going to ask, aside really from going to Canada, this is the first time you've been out of the country?
That's true. Yeah. You never really felt like going to Canada, like going to the other side, Niagara Falls.
Right.
You don't really feel like you left the country.
Right.
But I did actually take a trip up to Montreal about 10 years ago. And in some ways, and I mentioned it to them, when we came into Guadalajara, I had the same vibes that I had when we were driving through Montreal, because you have an old world feel to it from Spain and the history that Mexico has had. Let's think about Mexico for a moment here. Several hundred years ago, you're talking about really when we started coming over from Europe onto this continent, and Mexico became really a rival with any other European or any European country, excuse me, as far as culture, as far as education, as far as economics. I mean, it was really a powerhouse. And it wasn't until the civil revolutions and the Masonic influence that bombarded the country, it's been reduced. But it has always been a Catholic country, and Catholicism is part of the culture. You can't separate the two. And even having like Bishop Madrigal and others explain it, you could have these communists come in and try to pound it out of the people, and they never will.
And
It's so much.
It's interesting because you brought up how it's a Catholic country, and I never really realized that the United States is not a Catholic country.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
you grow up Catholic, and you know that there are some people that don't believe, but I never connected until I started, as I got older and reading more. Oh,
Mhm.
it's not a Catholic country. This is
No.
why there's probably the difficulties that we face,
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
simply because of it. So
Yeah. Well, right from the get-go of the 13 colonies, there was colony of Maryland was the only real Catholic colony, and I forget, was it Pennsylvania? I think was the other one that tolerated Catholics. You had certain colonies that it was illegal to be Catholic, to go into. Uh, I forget which colony, but I think one of them, for a Catholic priest, if you were found in that colony, you were first exiled, and I think at the second offense, you were executed. So, but these were extremists. But like I was saying, and you look at even the construction, you just have that old world feel. And I had the same feeling in Montreal. I went down to Guadalajara, and yeah, there are parts of it. It's like going into a third world country. We would consider, like, we would see this and be, these people are live dirt cheap poor, but I look at it as very much like they're just not, they just don't need to have all of these um fancy um what's the word I want, uh buildings. They don't need to have all this, you know,
certain types of accommodations that
accommodations that we think are appropriate. They very comfortable buildings and very just simple design. And I don't know exactly what I wanted to say there. I didn't prepare anything for this, but it's just my impression was, yeah, this is a poor neighborhood. Yeah, these shops are different. Like, one of the things that, this kind of blew my mind, you have shops there. It's like, for us going to a storage garage, and you open up the storage garage, like that size, that's the shop, quite a bit deeper, and that's it. And then when they're done, they just close it. I thought that was just really neat and effective, and the people live right above their shop.
Mhm.
Just made a lot of sense to me.
I mean, the simplicity of all of it probably helps them really on so many levels. I mean, we know we have too much. We just know it. There's just an excess of everything, and truth, we know it gets in the way of our spiritual life.
It's not to act like people don't drive cars down in
No,
Mexico,
I
or
saw
have
plenty of cars
cell
in the
phones,
pictures, and yeah,
or
absolutely.
have some really nice cars too. Cell phones and computers and stuff. We have the technology, and it's just, I don't know. Just, we don't have to live in some kind of uh, magazine photo. It's this is life, and it was more than that. It was just kind of seeing just how the people interact. And one thing you find out about people are people. There's a bit of language and some cultural things, but we got along so beautifully. It helps when you're a Franciscan priest, as that Franciscans have such a history down in Mexico, in South America, and in the west of the United States. And one of the things, I mean, I was prepared for this. But one of the things that they do as a sign of respect to a clergy is that they kiss the hand. They kiss your hand. And right when we arrived, I think it was Juan Pedro who picked it. He picked us up with Luis, and first thing, kiss my hand. And of course, Juan Pedro, since I said his first name, I've known him for over 10 years, and I haven't seen him in like 10 years. So I was really excited to meet him, and he kissed my hand. I was like, good, got the formality out, give me a hug.
So how did you know that was the formality? What was your preparation?
Bishop Lewis first mentioned it to me. And then I had conversations with Father Joseph in the seminary, and how, he encountered that when you had priests from other countries came to the friary and they would kiss the hand. And so that's how I became familiar with it, the custom.
Nice.
And so we arrived. It was a long night. I have to say this, though. The trip, we tried to plan it ahead. We had an early flight, and we said, well, we'll just get a hotel room, because just spend there the night, have dinner, spend the night, and then leave early in the morning. And I had brought my travel kit with me, Mass kit. So I said Mass in the hotel room.
In Milwaukee, yeah.
In Milwaukee. Yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
Because what people don't realize, Wabaka is a good hour from the airport. Maybe not quite that.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes, 50 minutes drive. So then we had to go up to Sheboygan and pick Kurt up. So we just said, well, we'll do this. And I didn't sleep really at all that night. I could not relax. It was like, were you excited, Father? No, I just couldn't sleep.
Okay. Is it like waiting for Christmas Day or the last day of school?
Well, guess what? I was kind of nervous. Mm-hmm. More about getting there, because I never went through customs before.
How was that?
Disappointing. Well, I haven't gotten there yet, but since you asked,
all right.
I was expecting to kind of get grilled. I was expecting them to be like, it's like, Buenos dias, senor. Anything you like to proclaim? That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for someone to ask me that, not in a really bad Mexican accent, but as a normal person would talk. And we had to write on a piece of paper a little form about, who we were, our passport number, all that, anything that we want to proclaim. Usually it's like I had to proclaim my medication, because I had my medication with me. And I was walking in like, okay, well, what do I do? It's like, you got to go through here. Basically, just tell somebody to show them your passport, tell them about yourself, and they let you go. Okay. And I was like, well, I was waiting for some soldiers to get around me and be like, it's like, sir, you need to come with us. We have to pat you down because you got that robe on. When I go into the airport, I already know I'm going to get patted down, because my habit is so bulky.
It's so rare if you don't.
And it's kind of like I don't even wait for them to tell me. I'm kind of in a position. I start, doing this. I'm all getting myself all ready. I'm patting myself down, because I'm like, come on, hurry up. I don't need you to explain it to me. Just get it done. Just do what you need to do. Didn't get that at Mexico. So we get out of one big line. We were there for quite a bit. It had just a lot of people coming into Mexico. And then, Brother Paul, Kurt, who has traveled to Chile quite a few times because he's part Chilean. And he said, no, well, there's another line we have to go into. I'm like, oh, so this is going to be the big one. And we're standing in line. And of course, Dad is like, I got to go to the bathroom. I said, oh, Dad, yeah, sure. You go to the bathroom, and we'll just wait for you here. And then we fortunately realized, oh, we got to get our luggage first. So we're in this line to get out of the airport, but we didn't even get our luggage yet, and we had to proclaim our luggage. So Kurt's like, okay, well, I'll go get the luggage. And I, like, an intelligent man, I follow him and I lose our place in line. I had to get the luggage. But of course, he could get all this luggage. I had a really big rolling suitcase with me because I had some recording equipment I took along for the occasion. And we get it. But I'll tell you, that line just kept on moving. So it was like you didn't even notice. So Dad got back, got together. Still, there was nothing. There was no, pat down. No one was grilling me about who I am, where I'm really from, who am I visiting?
What
There was
are
a little
you?
bit, what am I? Basically, I just said I'm American. It's okay. Walk over there and press that green button. And I just kind of like, okay, what does the green button mean? And they said, you can go. What? It's like, you can go. I felt, like you go shopping at like a Walgreens or an Aldi's or something, and you start walking out, and then you hear the beeping, beep, 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 beep. And then you look over the cashier and they're like, no, you're fine. You can go. You can go. It's like, well, how do you know I didn't steal something?
Well, in today's world, it's actually they can't even do anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember back when we were working grocery. I mean, you would see alarms or something in Novica. You see managers running after whoever stole something. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it, especially not in today's world. But
I forgot the code. There was.
Is it 99?
Yeah, it was some code. Yeah, I was in my code 99. Basically, you heard that. Wherever you were in the store, you ran to the front.
When I was a cashier, I didn't have to worry about those things.
I never. I once got close to the. I got up one of the first to get up there for that, but they already got the guy. So by the time I got up there, so I was ready. I was ready to use some taekwondo, take him down. It's like, can you just kind of stay there so I have time to do my roundhouse kick? Anyway, let me stretch first. Anywho, so we get there and I didn't really know exactly how the logistics was going to work, who was picking us up.
Just have trust in that.
You trust in the system. You trust in the Lord.
And Bishop Madrigal.
They were there. They were waiting for us. Well, I find out Kurt has WhatsApp, so he was communicating with the people there. So, okay, good. I, like an idiot, didn't get WhatsApp.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed you didn't have it because I would have bugged you once in a while.
Well, that's why I waited till after I got back from Mexico.
Well, it's actually interesting because as we're talking about your trip, I know nothing about your perspective of this. This is the first time I'm hearing you basically ignore me for the last 2 weeks. So we haven't really talked.
And what a wonderful 2 weeks it has been too,
sister.
It
was for it. Yeah, I'm sure.
No, actually, I'll be honest with you. I was actually at some points I'm like, I miss sister. I like talking with sister. I'm getting with sister withdrawals here. I was like, I really want to tell her about this. I really kind of, again, wish you were there, but it just gives us another excuse to take you over, and just like any situation would be good for like the kids and the people to see you. So, but anyway, so we get there. Father Joseph was in Mexico at the time. He had a visitation for the Third Order and plus other business down there, and he was leaving that next day. So I had some time with him, and we arrive and we have lunch right away, which was good because I was kind of hungry. And it was the beginning of eating like a king. They gave us so much food. It was like, how much money do they spend on this food? Because they're feeding, like, on average with the whole time, probably about 12 people for 3 meals a day for like 5-6 days on average. And I mean, yeah, you might have had a few less, but very often you have about 20 people and 3 courses for every meal. They come out for breakfast. Here's this little fruit bowl with some granola and yogurt. Ooh, delicious. Thank you for the breakfast. Oh no, now here's the thing with what do we have there? It was we had an egg and bean one day, and it's like, okay, thank you. Oh, and now here you want your sweet roll? It's like it's a 3-course meal. And one of the is Bishop Madrigal's parishioners named Chino, as his nickname, who's a trained culinary chef, is an artist. He basically ran the kitchen. And I might say about that kitchen, you had a variety of different women working in the kitchen. Also his brother Alex, and there's another man there. I'm really sorry I don't remember his name. He remembered mine. Of course, he didn't have to remember a whole bunch of people. He was a really nice guy.
Nobody wore name tags for you?
No, they didn't. They didn't. That's my next request. Next time I go, everyone wear a name tag and put the right name on this time. But no, spoke really good English. But there's such a variety of women working in that kitchen, different ages, and they were all so nice. And they did such a wonderful job. But he prepared the menu, and I actually went over a few times to the kitchen watching. And you go to the kitchen, it's like, oh, Father, you want something? Would you like would you like a sweet roll? Want some coffee? You want this? It's like, no, I don't. No. So it's like, oh, Father, we know you can eat some. It's like, haha, yes, I know I'm fat, but I don't want anything. Thank you. You already stuffed me during lunch. But he would have a table there with all the plates, and he's meticulously preparing each one. So it's like they're putting a lot of themselves into the meals. And just it's like, what was your favorite? Well, my favorite meal. I'm of all the things I can talk about there, the meal, but the food was delicious. It opened up your minds to like, what is Mexican food? It's not Taco Bell, okay? It's not Taco Bell.
I don't even know what Taco Bell's supposed to be to be honest.
I don't know. It's it's American, Mexican. I don't know, but it's it was only like the last day, like the second to last day, we actually had tacos, and we were talking like street tacos. We're talking like this really good taco, and now I ate 7 of them, but so did Father Martin, and we were going back and forth because they always kept coming back. You want more, Father? It's like, no, thank you. I actually said to one person, "Oh no, I'm good." And as I was saying no, someone else put a plate right in front of me. I was sitting there going like, and Bishop Madrigal was like, no, give him more. I was like, don't you know what? Are they poco, little? I want a little bit. No, not more than what you gave me before, just a little bit. But of all the wonderful dishes, probably my favorite one that they made. And I've invited Chino. Said, whenever you want to come up and visit Wisconsin, let me know.
Take him to the cheese factory.
Yeah, why not? And my favorite dish there he made was a salmon. Now, if anyone is curious to know, I'm a big fan of salmon. I enjoy salmon a lot. And he had a passion fruit glaze, not glaze, but a sauce on the salmon. Excelente. I think that now we have papas with it. I think we have potatoes with it. And one of the things is that they say don't drink the water at Mexico. Now this is actually amazing because it connects with food and drink. Bishop Madrigal, they process their water there. So he has, I think, I think they were going to get like the well, like really tap their well soon, or maybe they have. But I know they have some water brought to them because they're in the mountains.
Okay, that's good to
It
know.
is quite a trip to get there. It be from the air. Yeah, I jumped right to the food to get from the airport.
It's my fault.
That's okay. To get from the airport to Bishop Madrigal's camp. It took us about an hour or so, and just driving through Guadalajara. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. These people have two speeds, fast and really fast. It's just like, and you can't have fear, and you have to be totally self-aware when you're driving. I was holding up and I got, Luis, who's driving, just kind of laughing at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you got these courier motorcyclists just swerving through everything, and oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But we made it, and we were alive, and it was quite a trip. When you trusted, that's why I called. I nickname our drivers Allstate because we're in good hands. And then yeah, so the water, they have water which they refined. They bottle their own water. It's called Lupita water. It's a short version, like a nickname for Our Lady of Guadalupe. How it all works, I don't know. I'm just telling you what Bishop Madrigal told me. And actually, one of the nice young ladies that's there who did a lot of the cooking and care for us is also named Lupita. So hello, Lupita. Hola. Hope you're doing well. And very nice young lady. So that was one of my concerns. I was like, okay, I'm one who needs water. This is not coffee. This is water in this mug.
Interesting.
And I need to stay hydrated. So I was worried. So, thank the Lord, there is water, and it's a whole uh, uh, process they have there. I took some video, which I'll be putting this among other things onto our YouTube channel. So I'm hoping to do it this week. So if I don't talk too much now, might be able to get it up. We'll see. Anyway, we went to our rooms. I forgot to mention the rooms. Bishop Madrigal built a beautiful dormitory it has a really nice courtyard. So basically little apartments. And we ate outside. We eat every meal outside, either directly, out under the sun or under the tent. Most of them was under the tent, and the rooms were just wonderful. I didn't know what to expect because I've had Father Joseph tell me, and it's been a few years since he's been there. So he told me I don't know where you're going to be sleeping, Father, but it's going to be kind of rough in it. I'm like, okay.
Well, and we're Franciscan. We go anywhere.
Yeah.
Give me give me your floor. I'll be fine.
Just give me a floor and something to prop my head up, and I'll make it work. But we got there as here's your room, Father. Like, this is just for me. Yes. I had a room, it was a bed, a writing desk, and my own bathroom with a shower.
Wow. Well, maybe they thought that would be very helpful.
And it was. I want to tell you, I told people, I was making jokes because I've been working on my Spanish using Duolingo for the last few months. And I'll say that I know my Spanish for the most part was broken Spanish. That I was just getting the gist out, and they figured out what I was saying, and they would use broken English, and I get the gist. But I said to them, the most important phrase is this: "Donde est baño?" Where is the bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
So you knew where the bathroom was, and it was just a wonderful setup. I really given the 4-star treatment and your privacy. It was really nice. But as we were there, it was really like a retreat for us. I it was a lot of time to pray, to meditate, also to talk, also to meet people. So when I arrived, Father Martin was not there. I was really looking forward, more than almost anything else, to meet Father Martin because, you know, a priest around my age, he's like a year younger than me,
Okay, I was
and
wondering. I figured it had to be close.
he's he's a year younger than me, and I think he's been ordained 5 years longer than I have.
Yeah.
So it was just really wonderful to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of looking forward to that. That's when I found out we had people from Germany who were coming over. They were in Mexico City when we arrived, um, touring the sites there. I think that's where Our Lady of Guadalupe, um, the shrine is. So they were touring that, and so it was going to be like another day or two before they arrived. And said there was a Father Huber. I'm like, Father who? A priest in Europe who is under Bishop Madrigal, Father Walter Huber, and bring along with him Sister Gertrude, last name I never got. Called her Sister Gertrude. Uh, with a religious, you don't need to know the names. And then I realized I didn't even know what order she was. It was a teaching order, but I can't remember which one. If they have a special one for in Germany, I don't know. I'm gonna find out more.
Sure.
I'm gonna find out more. I got both their emails.
Oh, very nice.
But it was so you had a lot to look forward to.
Well, I think what people probably can pick up with what you're saying here is just was such a golden opportunity because in our position, we don't really get to be around fellow religious.
That's true.
I mean, for you to be able to meet Father Martin, especially someone your own age, it had to be a real high point for you. And actually, I don't know if you've looked at Bishop Madrigal's website, but there actually is like a spot dedicated to just Father Anthony and Father Martin, like you meeting each other and giving the pox and all that. And I thought it was really just sweet that you could have that moment, just as for His Excellency to go to Mexico, for two bishops to be able to talk about, their responsibilities because, they do shoulder a lot and they don't have, we're
That
just
support that you
right. I
normally
mean,
have.
yeah, I mean, you have
We
the
are
support.
missionaries.
Right.
You are missionaries that are blocked off, that are cut off.
Yeah.
It's how we live.
And when you, especially being part of a religious order, there's a lot of things that you even talked about that you miss being a part of the community, having someone to stay office with, to just pray with. So it's just, I guess, a subtle reminder to everybody how the sacrifices are being made and that, in the grand scheme of it, we have a lot. So
we do have a lot. And well, one of the things that really took me aback at first, obviously, was going inside the Cathedral of Christor.
it's beautiful.
And I think my jaw dropped because I didn't realize how massive it was. And it was the next morning I got up. We were given a schedule. I had to say that Bishop Madrigal said, this is the schedule you will follow. And we get to wake up at 6, get to the chapel at 6:30 for meditations and have mass at 7 in the morning, and then breakfast afterwards, going on the rest of the day. Well, we Franciscans, we normally don't get up at 6. We don't get earlier. I was up probably about 3:30, and I walked into Cristo Rey, and they had the construction lights still on because there's still work that needs to be done even on the inside, but they got on the inside, I'm going to say 85% finished. more, maybe 90% finished if you don't count still needing to get the baptistry and other things put in. So I got my phone out and I did a little bit of a tour
Good.
of the place, and then I did it again the morning of the dedication.
Excellent.
So I have 2 little tours there, and you'll see just the amazing difference. So in having Bishop Madrigal explain, that this was really a life's work of his, and how difficult the times had been, but how he just learned to adapt. One thing, you got to a certain point with the construction, you say, all right, the need has arisen. We need to build a church over here. So we'll stop here and we'll build the church over here. So they built the church, San Miguel. I think San Miguel was actually the first chapel that he built. San Miguel is right behind the dormitories and the kitchen, and it is such an attractive chapel. And then 5 miles away, you have Divino Infante, which I will say the mug that I have here is a mug for the dedication of Divino Infante.
Very nice.
And I forgot where I got this from. Oh, down in Kentucky. Brother Pascal had an extra mug and gave it to me. I asked him for it. Okay, I stole it. No, they let me have it. So and when something came up, you stopped, and then you took care of that, and you went back to it. So that's why it was 20 some years of construction, and people giving their own time for it. And one of the things that amazed us, because they were putting on the roof, they got most of it done while we were there. You had people working while we were there.
Yeah,
we kind of just stood around and weren't able to do anything. I did help with some of the roof, with the tiles, moving the tiles at some point. Because here I'm watching, I'm seeing these young men, I'm seeing these young girls, these young women. And this is something I impressed Bishop Giles and impressed us all. You have the women, they'd be up, moving tiles, getting them up on the roof, and then they'll just go right into the kitchen, then set a table, and they'll do all these things. And it was so impressive to see. But I was like, yes, but I've seen that myself, actually, with some of the women here, women who will put up drywall and paint day, and then come back and make the meal for everybody. So for me, it really wasn't that, it was amazing for me. It wasn't that much of a shock, because I've seen what dedicated women can do. And just to see that, hey, it's the same everywhere. Dedication is dedication.
Mm-hmm.
A work of love is a work of love. And then we find out that some of the men who were not even parishioners came and volunteered their time to help with the construction, especially put on this roof. It was such an amazing experience, and I'm happy to say that I've also taken some pictures of the landscape, of the children. A lot of children there. Had a lot of fun playing with the children, doing some ball games, playing tag. It was just, and also the pictures of Divino Infante, videos of that. So I got a lot of work to do as far as put that together.
It's interesting because I was asked during the course of you all being gone if I had heard from the bishop or you or anything like that, and not really. I mean, the very first picture His Excellency sent me was a picture of a dustpan that had the name Martha on it. So there's a woman there named Martha who I'm sure did a lot all around, but she took care of like his quarters where he stayed, and she she had her stuff and it was marked Martha. So that, I mean,
Yeah.
I got that picture. I got a picture of you offering right at the consecration of the host, the elevation at the side altar with Our Lady of Guadalupe. You know,
Oh,
yep, it's a really nice
I didn't
picture
know that
of
one.
Paul Brigham serving for you. So one of my
Oh,
questions is, because you said mass at 7, so how did that work? Was it all 5 of you saying mass at the same time in different spots?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I kind of know that, but I'm going to go on
Well,
the side of not everybody's going to know these things.
you are the everyman, sister. You are the one who asked the question.
Okay.
I use man in the general sense,
I'm
including men and
the
women.
every sister.
You're the every sister. But you had Divino Infante again. It's about 5 miles away, and that's a beautiful little compound they have there. They do a lot. That's where the bishop says he might. Well, it's where he has said his high mass on Sundays. I don't know if he says it at Cristo Rey now, but anyway, excuse me. You have the little chapel, the little hermitage of St. James.
Okay.
That Bishop Madrigal took me to, and he was kind of funny about it. It's like I'm going to show you something, one of my little secrets, and it's little beautiful chapel. It's actually, I took some pictures of it, and I said that's the first place I said mass there, and this little stone altar, and it was really just his nephew and his Bishop Madrigal's nephew and his family attended mass. Well, along with Kurt, took pictures, and I'm going to tell you, because it was open. It wasn't like a whole room. It was just this little section. You'll see the pictures. Turning around for mass, doing the Ecce Agnus Dei before communion, and it was a beautiful sunny morning, and the sun was just coming over the mountain, and I turned, and it's just you were just it's just the ambiance of it just took me aback. You had to take a moment, and I had to redirect my thoughts to what I was doing because it was so beautiful. I had a conversation with Kurt about that, and he was mentioning that to me. He said he was like he didn't know if it was wrong to acknowledge the ambiance of it. I said, no, of course it's the whole liturgy is about the beauty of the ceremony and to note it, but to always remember in my hands I was holding beauty itself, where this is just a vague expression of that beauty, which is the beauty of our Lord and Savior himself that I hold in my hands. My God, I hold in my hands. It's those are the type of realities that come to your mind in situations like that. At least they should, and you thank God that they do.
When I just going back a little bit, when you talked about that particular mass, did you say Bishop Madrigal attended that mass?
No, his
Okay.
nephew, and his family.
Okay.
Yeah, his
He's probably
nephew
busy saying
Manuel.
his own mass, but that would have been really special.
So you had, but by the time you got to the dedication, you had the 2 side altars, one to St. Joseph, one to Our Lady of Guadalupe. That's in the cathedral. To St. Mass. One is St. James. I said Mass is San Miguel. And I know Bishop Giles said Mass at the hermitage that they built dedicated to St. Francis of Assisi.
If there's pictures of that on the website.
Which we did a blessing of later on that Sunday, on the 29th. And Bishop Giles said Mass later than I did that day. So I said it. I said Mass that day at Our Lady of Guadalupe. I said my last 2 masses at the Lady of Guadalupe altar, and I said 2 or 3 of my masses in San Miguel. but I said, I want to be present for the first mass offered in the Hermitage of St. Francis. And I noted to Bishop Madrigal and to Bishop Giles how it's just so appropriate that they put the Hermitage of St. Francis right where the chickens are and the garden is and the pigs.
Yeah, I heard there were some
I said that is just so fitting. So it was just the whole experience of it. And Bishop Madrigal had a program. He had a schedule that we followed. And one of the things he put in there, obviously, was getting together, saying Rosary to get at night, which we say all in Latin.
Yeah, which I gotta talk to you about an idea there at some point.
Brings it to a point which you want to do a recording in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Someone gave a request for that, and I thought I never thought of that, but yeah, let's do it. So
we could do that.
Yeah.
Another thing to put a pin in, which, when you think about it, just really shows the solidarity of the church, the unity, having the one language of Latin.
Mm-hmm.
But then Compline.
Oh, I bet that was awesome.
In our situation, we've never had such a big choir of brothers where we could have Compline and having just all the voices coming together. And also when we would chant, we did it recto tono. So there's a little bit of what's the word, modulation, note modulation in the Gregorian. It's like Deus agitatorium intende, Domine adiuvandum me festina. No, I have the notes, but I never heard it. We've always done it recto tono. Domine exalieratio me festina. No, Domine is, you know what I'm trying to say. I tried to think of it too quickly. Deus agitatorium meum intende, Domine adiuvandum me festina. So that's how we've done it.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually be a part, and I think it's in Mexico or in other regions of that, they have a custom of the people joining in with the clergy in Compline, and that's something we don't see in these states, at least not to this effect, at least that I haven't witnessed. Mm-hmm. And it's just it just like, it so impressed me. It filled me with so much
appreciation for how things are done. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Compline's my favorite, so
it's because you get to go to bed afterwards.
Exactly.
My favorite is Vespers.
Well, Vespers is nice Vespers too. I mean, they're actually really, but no, I mean, because I like the hymn to the Blessed Mother after Compline.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with you there. And we sang the hymn, Salve Regina. So it was such a wonderful experience, and all of that. And then, going to the clinic that Bishop Madrigal built.
Oh.
Having a doctor, a doctor there, of Dr. Miguel, really nice man, and showed me around. I took pictures and videos of that as well, and they lean very much towards the homeopathic direction.
Okay.
So it's quite fascinating. Just all the little things he's trying to do. And one thing that Bishop Madrigal said that is very important is keeping the people busy, giving them projects to do, keeping them involved.
Yes.
And you see that, with the children, I saw pictures of what they do, what they do with the children, as far as education, some doing homeschooling. It's just so many wonderful things that they try to do together as a group. It's very impressive. And I didn't want to leave the property. There were times Bishop Madrigal said, "Yeah, we're gonna go on a trip, go into the town, go look at a few things and a few of the churches," and I didn't want to go, and I took the page from Bishop Giles' book. It's like, why would I want to go to these buildings that are no longer Catholic, no longer have the sacrifice of the Mass offered in them? They are merely just historical monuments. While in this little chapel, I offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass. I hold my God in my hands. Why do I need anything else? And I just didn't want to leave. I just wanted to stay there, even if I had downtime to just read and meditate, which I did. But Bishop Madrigal is a very, very polite man. His father, it's like, do you want to go down to the name of the town? I forgot, but it was near It's in like Guadalajara. I have the picture in my mind of the highway sign.
You just can't read it.
I just can't read it. It's not that it's not in another language. I just can't read it. I just see my seeing it. But anyway, he says, anyone want to go down to where they make statues? It's like, no, thank you. Okay. Anyway, then he mentioned other people come back to me. Father, would you like to go? I said, no, Your Excellency, I'm good. Thank you very much. I think I would rather stay. Okay. He came back to me a third time. He said, Father, Father Martin's going. I just say, Your Excellency, would you like me to go with Father Martin? Yes, I think it would be good. Okay, then I will go. He wanted me to say yes, and I didn't want to go. I'm glad I went.
Sure. You just weren't getting that hint, Father.
I was not getting the hint. It's like, why is he bringing this up so many times? Oh, because new people are walking it. No. Then it was be able to go on with an adventure. I went with a lady from Chile, Orietta, a great lady. She and I sat in the back. Yeah, we got the gist of each other. We had a really, really good conversation. I'm spending the whole time trying, how do I say this in Spanish? How do I say this? And but then we get into town and we go to the shop where they build the statues. And these are wooden statues, so they're carving them. And as people know, I really enjoy wooden statues, wooden carvings. St. Vincent de Paul, $5. It was meant to be. Anyway, and you could sit and just watch them carve and paint, and it was so fascinating. But then we were walking through the town and going through the bazaars and everything, all the street, vendors, and it was so interesting. We also, Bishop Madrigal wanted. I don't think I'm telling anything that's out of place. Wanted Father Martin to buy me a sombrero. I already had a hat. I brought a hat with me because, this face, I'd be like a lobster. So he wanted to get us a hat, and he said money to buy Sister Catherine a hat and send it to her. I'm like, okay. So we're going to all these places, we're looking around, and I just said, to Father Martin, I have a hat, and none of these fit my head. I said, and if they don't fit my head, I don't think they're going to fit Sister's head. Oh. She's got a bigger head than me. She says, a grande cabeza.
I don't know how I feel about this development. Huh. You think you have a bigger head than you?
Mm-hmm. Well, not physically.
Oh. I don't think anyone would buy that the non-physical either. Let's be
Well,
honest.
it's just I also would be like, Father, what do you think? I don't know what to get, sister. I wouldn't know what a hat to get. I know you have a hat too that you use outside. So
And
it was a nice
tricky.
gesture.
It was. It is also tricky just because of the veil and everything. It also has to get on top of that.
Exactly.
So I had to order a special hat.
Yeah.
To make it happen.
And
so
I needed to have it. I'm so glad I had it. There are a lot of pictures of me with the hat. You can just call me Brother Hat. So that was a fun little trip getting back, spend time with Father Martin and just talking with him. And he and I had some really nice conversations. A lot in common. One of the things we have in common is losing very close family members during COVID, during that time, and paying each other's respects for that. And even with the bit language barrier, we were able to communicate very well. I actually had a few conversations with people where I used Spanish, English, and Latin in order to communicate, and it worked pretty well. I just the whole experience was so nice. And if that was a place that I had to be for pretty much the rest of my life, I'd be okay with that. I told Bishop Giles, I get the same feeling when I'm in Rochester, when I'm at Mary of the Angels. It's a place of peace, and if I had to stay there and do all my work that I do here there, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. So it's not because it's different, not because it was exotic. It was because it was the same.
Yeah.
It was the same atmosphere for the religious, for the spiritually minded person. And for me, one of the things that really stood out that I'm glad I got to witness, and people might not believe it, it kept me quiet, was just to listen to Bishop Madrigal and Bishop Giles talk. And just to talk among each other, just sit there. I was always across the dinner table from both of them, and I would just listen. I had Father Huber sitting next to me most of the time, and he and I would talk. What a nice man. What a very nice, fascinating man. And I look forward to getting to know him better. I have been offered to go to Germany to visit. I've had offers to go down to Chile and visit the people down there. I said, well, that's great. I said, it's not going to happen next month. I said, but it will happen. I can't tell them when. I don't know, because you have to talk with the bishop and you have to get things arranged. And you always want to go with a purpose. You don't want to just go. You never want to have the feeling I'm going down for a vacation. Yes. It's not. But you want to say, what am I going there for? Sometimes it could be just your presence, Father, just to have people meet you, and just to meet a Franciscan. I was like, that might be reason enough, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But just to talk with the people even from Europe and get to know them, and being German and being part German myself, or ourselves, I should say.
Your denial of our relation being related is just really starting to get to me.
I barely
your
want to
dad, not my dad.
I barely want to acknowledge you're my acquaintance. Anyone is in denial of it, sister, it's Steve.
He loves us.
He does. But no, and after the ceremony, I'm not going into the ceremony itself because I'm going to talk more about that and the second part, or the third part. I haven't decided yet, but no, the second part. And afterwards, they did a demonstration with the Grupo San Bernardo, which is kind of paramilitary group that Bishop Madrigal formed with the young men and the young women in order to give them something to do, activities to do with each other. And that's fascinating. I mean, it's like to become a member of the group of San Bernardo. I was outside of Divino Infante and I was talking to Manuel. He says, you see the mountain over there? I said, yeah, yeah. Well, if you it's like the final test for the group of San Bernardo. You got to hike from here down to the ravine, up the mountain, and then hike all the way back down to Cristo Rey to become a member of Grupo San Bernardo. I looked at him. I said, "Can I become an honorary member?" I said, but I was like, I said, 20 years ago, and why do I say 20? I mean, even 10 years ago, I was in better shape. But I was in the best shape of my life when I was 17, 18. I could have done that no problem. I would have been running up, at least for part of it. So that would have been exciting. But I forgot where I was going with all that. Oh, so we had the demonstrations, and it's really nice. And then they had a mariachi band. One of the young men is part of a mariachi band, so he brought them there to perform for us. Beautiful music. Just fantastic, and the people there, they from the Grupo San Bernardo and other people, they learn a dance routine, Mexican dance, and very colorful. The ladies in their dresses, and they're doing this whole like sword dance routine. The men, it was
I'll
neat.
add that you can actually see that on Bishop Madrigal's website. You can see the demonstration of the San Bernardo group, and then there is a video clip of the mariachi band. So,
do they have a clip of Bishop Madrigal joining in?
No.
Yeah, he came on stage at the last song, and he sang with them.
Well, and I find that not odd at all. It's fascinating because that's just part of the culture. I mean, you would think, well, what does this have to do with the church dedication? But it's also important to celebrate these things, and that's what that was about. Like, this was a big event, and therefore should be a lot of effort put into the celebration of it. Yeah. Otherwise, you kind of lose sight of that.
That's
true. Kind of how when we take Advent seriously, Christmas is just so much better. And it is important to have, obviously to do your obligation, to recognize what Christmas is, but there's nothing wrong with also having your traditions of you watch this movie, you sing these songs, there's certain food items that are important. That's part of your culture. And, but again, we all know that those are just better celebrated when we come across them in right order. So,
yeah.
But just like how this all goes together, it is a big deal. This dedication, the whole event, just like the when you were ordained, afterwards, having the meal and all that. I mean, of course, this is to be celebrated. It's wonderful.
And it was had fireworks going off.
I heard.
It was just it was so neat. Of course, they put me sitting in the front in these really nice chairs with Bishop Madrigal and Bishop Giles. And of course, it's like, well, this is comfortable.
Fall asleep?
No. I did yawn a few times, and I apologize. It had nothing to do with the performers. I was tired. The ceremony, from beginning to end, was like 5 hours long. But the reality is this: when you're hearing a bunch of songs being sung in a foreign language, they eventually sound the same. That's what I was getting to near the end there. It's like, I'm pretty sure they did this song before, but it was different, of course. It's just you're kind of getting to the point. This was nice. Is there anything else? Are we finished yet? I kind of want to go to bed now. I'm tired. Actually, we hadn't eat yet, so I was getting hungry.
There you go.
But it was so wonderful being seeing the culture and the work they did. They brought a lady in who was the choreographer who taught them. And I got to meet her. I don't remember her name. And she's like, yes, she taught us. I was like, oh, whoosh. She's like, yep, that was me. Whoosh. Making sure they did it. And it was, I look forward to going down again. And I hope with it will bring a lot of spiritual good for the people. I've got people already here in Wisconsin like, Father, we want to go down. A lot of them wanted to go down, but they weren't so sure about what it was going to be in the accommodations. And now I can say Bishop Madrigal has the space, the means to provide for a number of people, and he would love to have anyone come down. Give him some notice.
All they had to do was email His Excellency, because that's what Bridget did. You know, she's like, well, she asked, like, where do you recommend we stay? And he's like, oh, I have a place for you. So that was, and I realized that that's not necessarily everybody's comfort, but you know, that's what Bishop Giles recommended it to her. It's like, email Bishop Madrigal. He'll be able to tell you.
It was, well, there are other things that being told. And one of the kind of surrounding things that I kept hearing from people when I tell them I'm going to Mexico, and other, not necessarily parishioners, but people, they talk and I mention it, like, why not? And I heard a lot of times, oh, be careful. Things going on down there. Even when I got back, anything happened to you? Just, no, it was a pleasant, wonderful experience. So it was, like I said, I look forward to going back. And one of the many things that this has gotten to motion is, I think, tightening our relationship with each other, with here and Mexico, and with Bishop Madrigal in particular, and working with him. One of the things that he and I are going to try to do is more collaborative videos and podcasts and working together. And we're trying to make this work. It's, as I was thinking about this morning, the hardest part for me is the technical side. If this is all I had to do, the talking and putting together interviews, it'd be a lot easier. But it's the technical side of putting out a good product. It's always what I'm worried about.
Oh.
But we have to get something out.
I mean, if it's technical stuff, I might be able to figure it out.
Well, yeah, but that's just always, I'm just kind of worried about, I just, even your busy sister,
Oh, sure,
we're all busy, but we can figure out, it's just, we'll see. God will provide, and he is providing, for a lot of wonderful things there. But what else to say? I mean, it's pretty much kind of the nutshell of my experience. I suppose one final thing to mention was while I was there, and I apologize, I can't remember the young man's name.
Name tags.
He came to me and said, Father, I want to introduce you to my dad, to my father. And I remember his name, Charles Magnus. Charles the Great. I said, Charlemagne. And he wanted to meet me. He wanted to meet me because he is a fan of Aim Higher.
Oh.
I was like, wow, so you're the one. And which, of course, it prompted a really long conversation with him and with everyone who was standing around, just talking about the spiritual life and talking about what we're looking to do with Aim Higher and other things we're looking to do on our channel. And as a shout out to you there, Carlos. We hope that thanks for listening. And now that we are more aware of each other and what Bishop Madrigal has to promote each other in our work, in our apostolate, and showing that unity that must always be there with Catholics, no matter what part of the world you're in. One faith, one Lord, one baptism. We all have that. So it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to go there. Now, the visit itself, not so much, but the dedication. Now, I don't know if I'm ever going to experience that again, but that's what we like to get into next. So sit and talk about the dedication and just seeing how we edit this, sister. I'll just say a Deo Gratias for now, and we'll be back.